The existential horrors of multiplayer video games. I kind of want to watch this only because Isto and I are talking about possible future projects and we're thinking about whether or not to do anything multiplayer.
1997. Garry Kasparov, a guy who is really, really good at chess, plays a 6-game match against a really, really chunky-ass computer. Kasparov wins once, the computer wins twice, and they tie the remaining 3 games for a final score of 2.5 to 3.5. Kasparov loses. But he didn't get his shit kicked in, and that was good enough to set the chess community and its onlookers at ease. This would be a minor loss in the war of man versus machine. But for the more cynically inclined,
Wait, what did this say? There's no reason, even if a computer becomes the best player in the world, that we can't continue to play on Friday nights at the Pasadena Chess Club or grandmasters can't gather for annual tournaments. This is correct, yeah. Computers been better than humans for decades now and it didn't stop anything. Chess is bigger than ever. And it's a good attitude to have as AI starts to... I mean, they're having to invent new tests. I mean, there's almost all previous standard tests of cognition, AI now beats humans. And obviously, you know, the gut reaction is, oh, horror. But I think similar to this chess example, I don't think it's as doom and gloom. Can an AI beat me at being really dumb? Let's try right now. Write the dumbest possible message you can think of for a Twitch chatter to say. Why do sandwiches always wear hats? Are they secretly plotting against the pizza? It is really dumb. Like, if I saw this in chat, I would probably call it out. I'd pull it up on screen and make fun of it. But it's not the... I mean, I don't think it's the dumbest chat message I've seen. It also uses emojis and stuff. I feel like human beings are still dumber. Is the moon just a big potato with sunglasses, or is it a government spy asking for a friend? That's also really dumb. But why is it all about like plots and spies? And if I put spaghetti in a toaster, will it turn into a waffle or a pizza? Do cows ever look up at the sky and think, wow, that's a big salad? Okay, you're actually getting cooked here. That's good. Why does my toaster always make me feel like I'm being judged? If you throw a slice of bread in space, does it land butter side up or is it too busy being confused? What does that even fucking mean? Can a giraffe be a DJ or do their necks get in the way of the turntables? Try and add the word glizzy somewhere in it. If I throw a glizzy in the air, does it become a flying hot dog or just a confused snack? Why do glizzies never go to school? Are they too cool for class? Do glizzies ever get jealous of tacos or do they accept their fate as a superior snack? If a glizzy could talk, would it have a deep voice or sound like a squeaky toy? If I put a glizzy in a blender, does it become a smoothie or just a sad squished hot dog? Make at least 3 of the words in the sentence glizzy. I glizzied a glizzy while glizzying through life and now I'm questioning everything. The glizzy glizzed on the glizzy and it was the most glizzy thing ever. Can you glizzy a glizzy while glizzying a glizzy, or is that too much glizzy for one day? Make every word glizzy. I would worry about your jobs. I would worry about your jobs. AI has gotten there. This is AGI. We've reached AGI. A glizzi. Artificial glizzy intelligence. We were in the video about chess.
But for the more cynically inclined, the onset of Deep Blue represented chess's first knocks on death's door. Why play chess, the doomers would say, if the right move can be determined at the press of a button. But it turns out, yeah, surprise bitch, welcome to 2023, that no one actually gave a shit about that stuff. In the year of our Lord, Stockfish could beat Bobby Fischer's ghost at both chess and Fischer Random while running on a potato. And yet every year, we're still clamoring to know which sack of flesh and bones is the best in the world, arguably now more than ever. Because sure, chess engines complicate cheating scandals and have changed the way that pros study the game. But it's not like computers were ever going to be involved over the board to begin with. The real changes won't happen until we start cyberpunking our shit. But that sense of dread on the part of the doomers, that worry that everything might soon come to an end, that was a real fear that exists to this day. Gamers, and I should probably specify multiplayer gamers, have long been obsessed with the idea of the dead game. Da-da-dan. Nothing gets these people more riled up than the suggestion that a game that they like is on its way to a better place, and that includes me, because Melee is forever. But games can, and do,
Who is
die.
this guy?
Everyone
Got Faker in here. You got Melee in here. You got interesting chess stories in here.
Everyone's happy to be a hater and call dead game on their least favorite scene until community actually drops off the map or gets shuttered. Every day, thousands of former Han players get reported in League for flaming their teammates and raging about how dogshit the game is. For only $5 a month, you... So, yeah, most people are not so bothered when computers get really good at games, because at the end of the day, human play is what the vast majority of humans value. But the prospect of solution can still be scary, and computers aren't the only ones capable of solving games. Humans have solved games in the true sense of the word, like how the competitive tic-tac-toe community has never recovered from the middle X controversy. But there are also lighter ways to solve games that come in the form of finding and abusing over-centralizing strategies. Now, everyone draws their own line when it comes to what is and isn't broken, cheesy bullshit. But sometimes games can end up plagued by literally game-breaking bugs that trivialize gameplay. But these kinds of blemishes tend to either get quickly fixed or banned in competitive play, because, you're not really playing the game anymore if you use them. No. In order to get into the class of cheese that truly threatens a game's livelihood, we have to enter into the gray area of what is and is not fair. Wobbling is an infinite technique in Super Smash Bros. Melee that allows the ice climbers to kill their opponent at any time, anywhere, off of any grab. You've probably heard of it. Wobbling...
This is funny. Just tie it all in. This guy, Nintendude, friend of mine, Mike, he works at chess.com now. And basically what he does is he goes to the biggest chess events in the world and he uses Melee bracketing systems that chess has never used before, like losers brackets and stuff like that.
Time, anywhere, off of any grab. You've probably heard of it. Wobbling is by far the most powerful kill confirm in Melee, and on top of that, it is extremely easy to execute. So at first glance, one might conclude that the reason the technique has been banned from competitive play is due to its over-centralizing nature. But really, wobbling is just not very fun to play against. With or without wobbling, the ice climbers have never been considered a top-tier character in Melee. Ices have always been an underrepresented character with a few solid matchups and a handful of abysmal ones. Brawl Meta Knight, on the other hand, was fucked up.
Wait, what's this video about, though? It's kind of going all over the place.
By the time competitive play had stabilized, the entire Super Smash Bros. Brawl metagame singularly revolved around Meta Knight's strength as a character. Meta Knight, more like Meta Knight game. Basically, if you wanted to enjoy playing competitive Brawl, you had to enjoy playing as or against Meta Knight.
Sure.
And while a lot of people lamented that fact, there were others who actually didn't mind that much. Because Meta Knight, a fast, highly mobile character in a game that many saw as sluggish, was actually pretty fun. And ultimately, this fracture within the community never really got resolved. Meta Knight was fun to play as, but overwhelmingly strong. And so, like Yogi Berra would say, no one wanted anyone to play as Meta Knight because everyone wanted to play as Meta Knight.
Right, classic quote.
Don't think too hard on that one. What I'm trying to say is, when balance gets too polarizing, no one gets to happily coexist. And when no one's happy, everyone's happy. Or... what am I even talking about?
I don't know.
Nowadays, most developers are actively focused on playing the long game. In order to keep games fresh and balanced, most multiplayer games now exist as living pieces of software that are capable of receiving an update at any time. But just because you can push updates doesn't mean that you're good at it. And let's be clear, gamers will bitch about patches regardless of whether or not a game is actually in decline. But there often is a real breaking point. Too many changes to things that aren't broken, too many changes that introduce things that are broken, the integration of monetization bullshit. These things can drive players away from games that they otherwise love. And these problems really come to a head when game developers hold the only keys to the car. Games as a service, or GaaS, if you're a nerd, is the hottest new way for game companies to keep as much control of the pie as possible, leaving a game's fate increasingly in their hands. Some models make more sense than others, but when it comes down to it, walled garden, black box, internet-only approaches to video games take agency away from their players.
Okay.
When this is coupled with a Disney-like legal thirst for blood, legacy versions and shutdown servers can stay gone for good. At least, until business opportunity arises. But sometimes companies are chill or, more realistically, legally apathetic towards community reboots. And so, when official support does end, passionate gamers often end up being the ones to keep things going. The number of deprecated games that are now better than ever, decades after their release, is frankly incredible. We're talking completely brand new features, brand new content, advanced analytic tools, software APIs, and homemade netcode that often straight up outclasses professional implementation.
For sure.
This stuff is built on the backs of community volunteers who could be making
great.
fat stacks if they applied their efforts elsewhere. And after a while, you start to wonder if players themselves are better at bringing the best out of games than the companies behind them. But who knows? Maybe there's a happy medium somewhere. When it comes down to it though, most games go out in the same way the Queen did. Natural death. Some games are only so interesting or so fun, and eventually, they run their course. Some games receive sequels that their player base moves on to, and some games just become too niche or too toxic or whatever over time. It takes a lot of things to go right for a game to truly last the test of time. We have a lot of physical games that have made it this far, and I'm personally really curious to see which video games will be the ones that go the distance. It's probably going to be Minecraft.
Probably get to work if I had to guess.
And I understand why gamers get so testy about their games dying. When a game dies, you're not just losing a game, but an entire community's investment of time, knowledge, and skill. I think that losing all of that is genuinely tragic. But listen, the cool thing about multiplayer games is that fact that they're more than just the software and hardware they run on. The network of people and ideas that surround a game are a huge element of what makes a game great. And although multiplayer games live and die based on the strength of that network, the other cool thing about multiplayer games is that as long as some network exists, things are still kicking. And at a minimum, it only takes two to tango. So hey, let's dance.
I think this guy is a great editor and has a lot of talent, but man, he's got ADHD, I feel like. It was just everything he wanted to talk about, but like, and it kind of just mashed it together. It was like a blender, but I still enjoyed it. No knock.